Hi guys, it's Eileen from Now There's a Crafty Idea, and I've come with a little tutorial video on these lovely little faux cabinet cards. Now I love cabinet cards and I've got quite a collection, and the cabinet cards are usually in a nice cardboard frame. Sometimes they're in a little booklet, but for this actual craft I'm going to do the ones that are in a frame. All I did was I was cutting out some of these lovely circles. Excuse my arm while I just show you. So I wanted to cut out some of these to use in ephemera and things, and when I was cutting them out I noticed what a beautiful pattern they leave as well. And then I thought, oh, you know, that looks like some old cabinet cards that I've got. So I started doing these, and I've done a couple. I've used them before, I've actually put them in journals before, but I just thought, you know, I was sitting thinking about like making my ephemera, because I'm quite low on ephemera. You have to excuse my hands, I've got glue and distressing all over them. They're absolutely terrible. So yeah, my ephemera is quite low, so I was trying to boost it, and I thought, oh no, I'll make some more of those cabinet cards. I thought, well, why not film it as well while I'm doing it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get your cuttle bug or whatever device you use to cut out your shapes and that. And you need anything that's circular or oval. I think oval works best because it just seems to frame the pictures better, but really any will do. And then you just need to leave enough space so that you can cut it out to look like a frame. Now you can make them any size you want. As you can see, I've got a few here. I've got them really big ones for like quite big photos, and then I've got longer ones and short ones, and basically just any kind of size and shape that you want. I've got some going crossways as well, which I think will look nice when I've done them. I've never done them this way before, so hopefully that'll turn out nice. So anyway, let's get started. For the photos, you can use anything really. Now you can use proper photos if you've got vintage photos, or you could, if you wanted to make it for your own personal journal, you could use photos of family. It'll look quite nice if you were to make these for your journal and you used photos of family and made them look vintage and old, and then pop them in your journal. And you can write on the back of these, they're actually tags. So you could even journal about the person or a favourite memory. That's a nice way of using them. Or, as I've done here, I have some old children's encyclopedias, and I've just been going through and cutting out all the pictures. And some of the pictures, they're actually mostly pictures, but they do actually, you know, some of them do look like photographs. So I'm going to use those. And these two actually came from one of the encyclopedias that I've been cutting things out of. So let's get started. So once you've cut out your blanks, that's what I'm calling these, the blanks, you just choose which ones you want. Now let's see, I want to make this one. It's quite a nice one. That'll look nice in a boho, I think. Yeah, and that pattern is quite boho, isn't it? Now I'm going to age it because it does look a little bit bright. I am going to age it, but you can see that fits perfectly over that picture. So let's get it aged. Now you're going to laugh when you see me makeup brush. I did have a set of these brushes and it just snapped, and I can't find my other ones. I'm in the middle of reorganising my craft room and can't put my hand on them, so I'll be using this tiny little handled brush, so don't laugh. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to go around. You can do this with the other type of sponge, which is this one, but when you've got all these little intricate edges and that, sometimes it just doesn't work. And it doesn't matter if you get a lot on one side and not a lot on the other. The idea is to make these look like they're really old and vintage. It doesn't matter if they get a bit on that makes them look a little bit dirty or well used. Should we call it well used? Yeah. I'm just going to go over the whole thing very lightly and just take off some of that brightness, because this paper is nice but it is quite bright. And then once I've done that, we'll get the ink around the edge. I love inking around the edge. It just defines the shape and it gives it that age that you know, old books always yellow from the outside in, so old ephemera as well, so it just gives it that bit of a vintage look. So excuse me, I've had the flu and it's just killing me, excuse me. That's better. Now we've got that, we're going to glue our picture in. And it doesn't matter if you go over the where the picture's going to lie, because we're actually going to glue some coffee dyed paper to the back of this anyway. So just to save me glue stick, I'm going to go inwards and then around the edge. There we go. And that is going to be bigger than I need it to be, but that's fine. And you'll see why in a moment. So let's get our picture. Now, all you've got to do now is position it. And I want to try and get that lovely headscarf and a little bit of that building behind her. So you can position it. It doesn't have to be straight, just as long as it looks good. And then we'll just give it a press down. There was some lovely pictures in this, these encyclopedias, absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't save them all though. So there we go, now she's looking good. She looks like she's been there for a long time. And now I'm just going to get some paper for the backing. I've actually got some music paper, that might look nice actually on the back. Okay, let's get our glue again. And we're just going to run the glue all over the back. Try and make sure you get into the corners, because you don't want the corners to lift. And with this being, these blanks being cut out of scrapbooking paper, which is more card than paper, you know, you want to make sure you get plenty of glue on so that everything stays stuck. And now let's pop her on, which that side's better. And bring her to the corner. She's a lovely lady, beautiful. I'm sure she was probably somebody famous. But things get lost in antiquity. Right, there we go. Pop that on there. Now all's left to do is to just cut around this. Try not to cut into the card, of course, which I've done several times because my cutting out is horrendous. I wish I was good at it. You could use a paper cutter for this if you want. It's just as quick to cut it by hand. Now I've got a little bit left at the bottom. Let's just trim that off. There we go. Tiny little overlap at the side. There we are. And now I'll give the back an ink. It's already yellowed from where I've been tea dyeing it on that side. I'll just run a little bead down there. But where I've cut it, obviously it needs a little bit of help. So there's your writing side. So that's for you to write your journaling on. And that's the front side. And it's not too thick, so it's not going to bulk your journal out too much. Now you can decorate these in lots of different ways. Sometimes they had like embossing on the bottom. So if you've got an embossing folder, you can emboss the whole thing, or you can just emboss half of it. That looks really nice, especially when you go over it with the distressing ink, because it sort of brings it up and makes it look good. However, I have some little bits of lace, and actually that's quite nice, isn't it? That way. Yeah, I like that, so we'll go with that. Need to sharpen these scissors, and maybe a little bit of this as well, just a little. There we go. Just pull the strings on that. There we go. And then I'm going to just layer those on. You know, I don't think it needs, let's see, what are we going to put onto it? Got a few little bits out. That's too big. Nope. It's quite nice, and it's a nice colour as well. It picks up the colour of the picture. We'll try that one. Now, just because this is fussy cut, and my fussy cutting's not that great. Let's just get rid of the white. There we go. Give it a little bit of a ink around so that it's got that vintage feel that goes with our piece. And now, do we want it on that lace? Maybe if I cut that down just a little. There we go. Just pull some strings off, give it a nice bit of edge, and then pop that on. Oh, that looks quite nice. I quite like that, yeah. Okie dokie, let's do it. Let's get me glue. I've been using this high tack glue and I'm quite happily surprised by how good it is. Because I was using the Fabri-Tac before, but it's difficult to get without having to buy it online. And when you buy it online, it's very expensive, and I do go through it. So I got this high tack glue, and I've got to say, it's done a good job. I've been testing it out on all of the ephemera I've been making, and it has been holding its own. I'll just pick that up without getting glue all over myself. Yeah, it has definitely been holding its own, so I'm quite happy with that. It's called Original High Tack Very Sticky Glue, and it is very sticky as well. Plus it's safe and non-toxic, so if you've got little ones in the house, you know, you're not going to worry about that too much. I don't know who, it's Impex who make it. It's got a little spill on the top. Put the lid on. But yeah, it's done really well. So I'm impressed. And you can get it at your local craft store, or you can get it at Hobbycraft. I'm sure there's plenty of places to get it from. Now that looks great. She looks really vintage, as though it was always meant to be a cabinet card. And what a pretty lady. And that'll be lovely in a boho journal, which I haven't done yet, but it's on my list of things to do. So let's make another one. Let's do one of these sideway ones. Now let's see what we've got. Actually, you know, I might make one of the bigger ones. I haven't done them this big before, so I'm actually wanting to see how they turn out. And I've got a couple of nice big images to go through. She's quite nice. Let's see what she looks like. Yeah, that's nice. Let's try these ladies. I'm not sure that frame works well with that. Let's see if I've got another big frame. Let's see. Sorry, I've got you out of shot. I think if I put some distressing ink over, that will look actually quite nice. And that's a pretty one. Oh, you can't see because of the light. The light in here is terrible. Maybe if I just... Is that too dark? Hopefully that's not too dark for you. Yeah, it is a little bit dark, isn't it? Oh, that's just... There we go, it's a bit better. There, right. I actually quite like that, and once I put some distressing ink over it, it will actually look quite nice. So, there is that one as well. Oh, that's a pretty one too. You know, I'm going to make that one. There we go. Okay, so first of all, let's get our book pages, and we'll do distressing, and then around the edge I'm going to put a little bit heavier around this time, because that's quite an old image. It's obviously not a photograph, so I want this to look as though somebody's kept it as a special picture. And you see how that's gone quite dark there? That's fine, that's great. It's even picked up the edge of where the die cut was. That's great. It gives it that authenticity of having been used for years. And actually I need the lid off. I'll give it a quick once around the edge. I quite like making these. It's quite a nice little process, and you can get loads done very quickly. And like I say, if you've got a nice old book that's got all these lovely images in, it's a good way of using up those books and making them you know, work in a way that's going to work in a vintage journal. That looks great. I love that. So let's get some glue on it. Right. I've actually, I'm a terrible collector. I am terrible in the way that I'm always collecting things. And when I started junk journaling, I was just mad for collecting old books. So I've now got quite a stack of them, and I'm in the middle of taking them apart and making up some paper packs to put on the Etsy. But when I've been taking them apart and I've been finding all these beautiful images, and I just wanted to find a way of using these images that would make them suitable for the journals I want to make. And this, I've got to say, this is one of the best ways I've found. I love them. They're just so nice. And they're just, you know, if you go into any antique shop or store, you can find all these beautiful cabinet cards, usually of people whose names have been forgotten and families have passed on, unfortunately, but they're just such a perfect little glimpse into the past. That turned out lovely. Now I am going to put a little bit of the it is the vintage photo across the photo, just because I want to give it a little bit more warmth. I don't want it to show up too much as colour. I just want to give it that little bit more warmth because it is a black and white image, and I want it to have that look of having been aged. So this is one way of doing it. This vintage photo is so versatile. There's so many things you can do with it. There we go. And that just gives it a little bit of a vintage look. It's not hugely, you know, in your face noticeable, but as you look at the whole piece, you can see that there's a consistency in the colouring, which is exactly what we need. A little bit of glue there. Now we're going to put a back on this one. Let's see, what backs do we have? Let's do something different. Let's give it something special. I've got this. It's not big enough. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. And it's a piece from the Edwardian Lady Diary, which would be great as a backing, because on this side it's plain and it's good paper stock. So yeah, we'll use that, and then that'll give it a sturdiness as well. So literally, same again, we're going to cover the whole thing, top to bottom, and give it a really good ink, especially seeing as we're going to be using the paper from the diary, because that is quite sturdy, thick paper. Oh, I can't wait for this cold, this flu to finally give up and go away. Keep threatening to lose my voice. My husband's so happy. So hurry up and lose your voice. He's a swine sometimes. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Then we'll just trim round that. Doesn't take long. And before you know it, you've got a lovely card. A nice journaling spot. And these look great, popping out of a pocket. And there we go, we've got another one. So in just 20 or so minutes, we've made two lovely ones. I'm not going to decorate this one because I think it's quite, the picture's quite intricate as it is. And you don't have to decorate them, that's the great thing about them, they're already decorated. So there we go, that's my little ephemera. So I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you give it a go, and have a good crafting day. Happy crafting, bye!